U.S. Farm Report on the road at the CHS Ag Industry Days is brought to you by Micro Essentials, balanced crop nutrition for higher yields, from the Mosaic Company.
Well, Chip Flory continues our marketing discussion as we head back to the CHS Ag Industry Day in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Welcome back to Grand Forks in North Dakota. We've got Tommy, we've got Tyler, we've got Dwayne. Tyler, producers this spring are having to evaluate a market that's more dynamic than they've ever had before. There are more decisions that they've got to make this year than I think they've ever had before. Where do you think growers are leaning in this part of the world when it comes to acres and what that mix is going to look like in 22?
I deal with a lot of North Dakota farmers. Our neck of the woods, I'm hearing a lot of soybeans and now a lot of sunflowers. Sunflower acres are high. It's going to be hard to get fertilizer. Fertilizer is really expensive. Sunflower is one of those crops that will go deep in the ground and get a lot of that was left last year on those wheat acres. You know, I expect in our neck of the woods, less corn, more soybeans. Throw in the fact that it's getting harder and more expensive to buy glyphosate. You might have to plant some wheat in some acres where you don't need that.
I didn't hear you say spring wheat.
Well, yeah, we might have to throw some spring wheat in the ground.
Yeah.
You know, it hasn't, in my opinion, hasn't kept up with beans and corn as far as pricing to draw more acres right now. So it'll be interesting how these next few months play out. It's March 3rd. Yeah,
Tommy, spring wheat is participating, but it's not trying to lead the way to get more acres.
No, absolutely not. So when you talk about this room, a North Dakota grower, when you look at canola, I trade canola. I could be the only one in the world doing it, but the canola futures are on fire. And you educated me when I was on your show about this biofuel, biodiesel. You asked me a question.
Renewable diesel.
You asked me a question. I go, help me out here. And but I've since learned a lot about that. So when you talk about canola, sunflowers, flax, barley, edible beans, we have so many things we can grow here. And what's interesting, for the first time ever in North Dakota's history, we have a positive basis. And you think the futures are on fire, the cash market. People are begging people to grow barley. They're begging them, what do I have to do barley? Not what's posted, this is what I'll pay you.
Dwayne, when we talk about an acreage battle, if it's just corn and soybeans, that's kind of a tiff. But if barley's involved, if spring wheat's involved, if canola's involved, if sunflowers are involved, go all the way to the south, cotton. If everything gets involved, it changes the game.
What it means is we don't have enough acres, Chip.
Right.
I mean, I don't think we do. I've played the math backwards every which way, and hearing these guys talk about the other crops that are interesting to plant this year, they're all profitable. We're kind of in a fun spot up here in North Dakota. You really can't miss right now. Plant any of the crops, I think they're all good. But that's my point to go is I don't think we have enough acres. Someone's going to be shorted. For me, I'm thinking corn, soybeans, spring wheat. One of those three is going to get shorted on the March 31st report. Then the markets will change, and then we'll probably plant more of that. But right now, I just cannot play with the math and find enough acres for the demand and the lack of production we're getting out of the Black Sea.
Okay, Tommy, Russia-Ukraine #1 story. I think acres is coming in there in the top 5 story. What else headline are we watching for?
Oh, just, well, we have massive inflation. It's the largest single tax ever on people. And could we go from inflation to stagflation? If you don't know what it is, Google it. It's scary. So we have rampant inflation. Interest rates are at 0. This isn't 1980. In 1980, they started at 10%, went to 21. We're starting at 0.
Right, exactly. Tyler, talk about headlines. The market is a headline-watching son of a gun. What other headlines are you watching for?
Still got to pay attention to South America. I mean, that's been getting priced in. That's kind of taken a back seat to the whole Russia-Ukraine story. It's still there. There again, a lot of unknowns on what they'll actually produce.
USDA report next week, right?
Right, right. Real quick, impact on livestock, guys, Dwayne.
Feed is going to be expensive. Obviously, I think feeders got a little bit too high priced here recently. We had to pull about $10 off that cash feeder board because of the high priced corn. And with high priced corn looking to me going to stay there, you got to look at those November feeders, 183. We haven't been at those levels in about 7 years. You might want to look at some put options and LRP insurance and maybe lock in next year's calves.
You know, I like the tone that you guys have been talking about. It's, yeah, we've got to watch what's going on with the markets. But at the same time, let's go ahead and find some way to take some of the downside risk out, build that price floor under it. Because when this move is over, guys, it's going to be over in a hurry. It just is. Let's keep this in mind. Soybeans, corn do not like to make a high in February or March. So there could be a lot of price volatility coming our way. Guys, thank you so much. Signing off from Grand Forks, North Dakota, I'm Chip Flory.